With Kroger brand products, you can get all of your favorite things this holiday season. Because our proven quality products come at exceptionally low prices. And with a money-back quality guarantee, every dish is sure to be a favorite. From sweet sugar cookies and holiday ham to that perfect slice of pie. Whether you shop delivery, pickup, or in-store, Kroger brand has all your favorite things. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything. I'm Sarah Edmondson.
And I'm Anthony Nippy Ames. And this is
A Little Bit Culty.
Cults are commonplace now. From fandoms to fads, we're examining them all. We look at what happens when things that seem like a great thing at first go bad.
Every week, we chat with survivors, experts, and whistleblowers for real culty stories told directly by the people who lived through them, because we want you to learn a few things that we've had to learn the hard way.
For example, if you think you're too smart to get sucked into something culty, you might be prime recruitment material, and who knows, you could already be in a cult. If you're not aware of your programming, you're probably being programmed, so keep listening to find out.
We'll talk about all sorts of topics on the show, but be aware, this podcast might contain stories that could be alarming to some of our listeners, so please check our show notes for more detailed descriptions and take care of yourself.
Subscribe to our Patreon for Thursday bonus episodes, Q&A, and all sorts of exclusive content. That's patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Welcome to Season 7 of A Little Bit Culty.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to my love.
Well, everybody, we have a very unique, I know we always say special, and we're excited and all that stuff, but this is something that's way off anything we've ever done on A Little Bit Culty.
Think of this as the fun episode, not that we haven't had fun episodes before.
And yet also very serious.
Yes. Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Maybe fun isn't.
It's not fun. It's a little bit of a break from our normal format. And
yes.
I'm also going to guess that we might take a little bit of shit for it.
You know what? It doesn't matter.
We don't care.
Take shit. We take shit. You're never going to get it right with people. That's fine.
And for those of you who are into it, I know you'll enjoy it. For those of you who are skeptics, just skip it. If you don't like it, skip it.
Yeah.
But
go listen to one of our good ones.
Write to us and tell us how this is off-brand, because we know it's off-brand and we're doing it anyway. And we get to do it because it's our podcast. So,
Okay. So today's guest is Jonathan Mark, and he's a psychic medium who uses his gift to provide closure to families through readings.
He also helps law enforcement solve cold cases.
For example, he rose to national prominence after assisting law enforcement in the Gabby Petito case. And if you don't know that, put Gabby Petito in your Google search.
And I didn't know much about Gabby Petito until I heard Jonathan on Kate Casey's podcast. And the way that he did a reading about some unsolved mysteries, I thought, you know what? I would love to invite Jonathan on A Little Bit Culty and see if we can get some answers to some of the many unresolved components of Nexium.
And we did.
Oh, did we ever?
I don't even know where to start, except skeptic's gonna skep, but he knew some stuff that only I knew.
Yeah. And listen, even though I absolutely enjoyed this episode and this interview so much and was super touched and emotional, I also had in the back of my mind how skeptical listeners would listen and could say, well, that you could find in Sarah's book and you could find this and that on the internet. That's fine. I happen to know Jonathan now and strongly believe that he does not do any research. That's what he says. But in addition to that, there were a number of very specific details that there's no way that he could know.
Also, Sarah, you know me.
Nippy, number1skeptic.com.
I think a lot of our audience has an impression of me with this stuff. And just listen.
Just listen. Listen with an open mind. And I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. I got a really good sense of his gift because he also invited me to be on his podcast. And he did a reading for me regarding my grandfather that was, again, details nobody could know and was very emotional. So I believe in his gift and I'm excited to have him on. And while he's not a whistleblower or cult expert, he offered his gift today to conduct a reading with members of Nexium who have passed on. Again, we know there's skeptics out there, but we think you'll find this profoundly moving. So please listen with an open mind and enjoy. Jonathan, Mark, welcome to A Little Bit Culty.
Thank you for having me. Super excited.
So are we. We've been excited since this was booked. And huge shout out to Kate Casey, who connected us. And she's been nothing but supportive of our podcast. And it seems like has been of you too. And
Yeah.
we're grateful for her. She's the one who encouraged you to
100%.
have a podcast, right?
Yeah, she, for years, she's been like, you need to do this. And I'm like, I'm too scared to do it. I don't want to do it. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try it out. And I love it now.
You enjoying it?
You know, it's a little stressful. I'm not going to lie. I
it is
am
a little-
enjoying it, but I'm definitely like stressed about it a lot. You know, it's definitely taking a lot out of me.
Yeah, it does.
Well, if we can offer any podcasting advice, we're 4 years in, please feel free to pick our brain. I'm happy
Thank
to
you.
share what we
Thank
learned.
you.
How long you been at it?
I just started in August.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I'm still very, very new. So
It is a lot. It's a full-time thing, and I know you have other things going on, including helping law enforcement and solving cases. And for our audience who doesn't know your journey, can we just do a little bit of a background, and then we'll get into the Nexium stuff as we've been planning? From what I understand, you've had this gift since you were quite little. What was the first indication that you were able to communicate with deceased?
when I first started seeing, I think, people or, spirits, whatever people want to call it, it was my aunt who passed away. I was only 6 months old when she passed. And, just like majority of people, I would assume people have pictures of their family, friends, people who have passed away in their home to like honor them or just to keep them around. And when I was a kid, and her name was Susan, I would say, and Susie's here. And everyone's like, that's cute. There's pictures, in the kitchen and, in the hallway, whatever. So I was about 4, I want to say, and it was Easter, and my grandfather was there and my mom's other sister. And I walk over to him and I go, oh, Susie's here and Susie's here. And he's like, okay, very Italian grandfather. He's like, okay. And they thought I had imagination, but then no fault to my parents. They had me in the denim outfit, like the top and the bottom matching, like the Canadian tuxedo when I was a kid. And I kept like pulling at it and I was saying like, Susie's in this, like Susie's in this. And I was getting mad because like no one was understanding what I was saying. And like I was trying to tell them what I was seeing. And my grandfather was like, what the heck is this kid saying? And my mom walks around, because this was Easter, walks around, and my mom tells a story to everyone. This is only the reason why I know into detail about this. And she starts crying, like hysterically crying. And my grandfather's like, what the heck is going on? So my mom and my aunt were best friends. She lived with my mom up until she passed. And there was, they would steal clothes from each other and stuff. And there was this one jean jacket that they would steal constantly back from each other. And after the service was over, when everyone went to the cars to drive to the cemetery, my mom beelined it in and put a jean jacket in the casket. So it was just between her and Susie. Like no one else knew. Like her father didn't know, her other sister didn't know. So when my mom told them that, my grandfather turned to me. He's like, what is wrong with this kid? Like, what's going on? Like, no one knew really what it was. And then as I was getting older, I started to realize what I was seeing and stuff wasn't what everyone else was. And I wanted to be as like quote unquote normal as possible, like playing sports, doing stuff with my friends. So I stopped speaking about it, like completely stopped speaking about it. But as I was getting older, the messages were coming in clear. I was seeing things about my family that I wish I never saw, like really intimate things of people, like the worst things that you can imagine for a woman to happen with a family member. And it was like 2 of my family members and no one knew about it. And then I said something when I was a kid. No one really said anything. Then as I got older and this gift developed a little bit more, I said it again. And because it was coming through and it, I guess, like broke everything in my family a little bit. Because then it started like unraveling certain things within my family with this one person and someone else in my family. And so when I was about 20, I was going off to college to play lacrosse, 18 to 20, I went to like a community school first to get my grades up and to also get some more looks for lacrosse. And, I turned to my mom And I said, is there any mental illness in the family? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I explained to her what I was seeing is coming through way more clear and like a lot more. And I think I'm schizophrenic. Like I thought I was schizophrenic for a while. And it wasn't until I went to a medium, because my mom's like, I'm going to one. Like, do you want me to ask this person? And I don't know about you guys, but I thought a medium was like the nails, the crystal ball, the hair. And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I guess. I'm like, I don't know what this is. So when her break comes, I go to this medium and she's like, yeah, you have this gift and it's pretty big. Like, do you want to learn? And I was like, hell no. Hell no. And I was like, no, I want to go back to school. I want to play lacrosse. I want to party. I want to do what everyone. And then literally in the car, I'm like, shit. I'm like, I should have said yes. Because I always wanted to help people. Like I was getting recruited to like Army, Navy, and I was going to go and try and do that route for lacrosse and then serve after and, you know, just things like that. And so I came back home and I kind of developed this gift thanks to my mom. She would bring in friends that I've never met, coworkers that I've never met. And essentially practice makes perfect, I feel like, with anything, with stuff. And I just continue to go. And then I started reading law enforcement and I was going through the NYPD, you know, process, the academy and everything.
How did they find you? How did you connect with law enforcement?
It's interesting. So through when I was practicing, when I was in college, kind of, the friend of a friend of a friend, because I had no social media. I didn't want anyone to know I was doing this. I didn't want my friends to know. I didn't want anyone to know. That's why I go by Jonathan Mark. That's not my last name. I didn't want people to know like what I was doing. And through referrals, like a Fed's wife came. And I guess the reading went well. And she went back to him and she's like, you're on this case, the Long Island serial killer case. You have nothing to lose. Go see this kid. And as a law enforcement person, he's like, this is bullshit. He's like, no way. Like, I'm not doing this. So he would send people to test me to see, like, give fake names, see if that would come, like, things like that. And then it just kind of went from word of mouth, from working on one case to the next, to the next, to the next through law enforcement from this person's wife. Like, that's how it started.
Wow.
How do you deal with the people that are just bullshit from the get? Like, I imagine you run into that, like, all the time. That just go,
Oh, like if I'm reading a client or something?
yeah, who's skeptical and, like, I mean, that might, I imagine that's a lot of your apprehension, too, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of why I always tell people to sit down for 10 minutes with like a semi-open mind. Like, don't go into it being like, fuck this or whatever. Like, go into it at least with somewhat of an open mind.
Right.
And I read a lot of athletes and I read a lot of like law enforcement, and a lot of them, even with doing what I do, they still are skeptical and they come in with whatever. But then when you say this one thing that no one else knows, you see something like,
Yeah.
it's like a weight off of their shoulders with that too. And then it just kind of just goes.
Yeah, you earn it. You have to earn it every time. Yeah.
Was there a particular case that you broke open or were able to shine light on that took you to this next level?
I would think it, you know, for a while, I wasn't even sharing that I was working with law enforcement. Kate Casey was really the only person that knew. And she's like, you have to start telling people. Like, she's like, this is insane. Because I would call her. But Gabby Petito is probably the one that kind of broke people like, holy crap. Like, when Gabby's mom came out and law enforcement came out and like validated and acknowledged everything, that's when I think a lot of people were like, okay, like this is real.
Amazing. And what was it, for those people who don't know the case, what was it that you were able to see or bring to the table that was helpful that they didn't know?
Yeah, so what happened was in the very beginning when Gabby was missing, they thought that she was potentially still alive. And I basically, what started it was I said, it's not a search and rescue, it's a search and recover. I'm like, if I'm connecting to Gabby, that means she's not here. I can't connect to someone who's living. Like, that just doesn't work. And then I helped locate the body with like what was going on.
Wow.
And then from there, it was just like, okay, now part 2 is like finding Brian Laundrie, right? And I was like, that's a little bit more difficult because he's alive. But I told them months before what was going to happen with him about taking his own life with a gun in the note. Like, this was said in September and he died, I think, November or December, like months later. And then that's when they called me again. They're like, you can't make this up. We have recordings of this. Like, you can't make this up. They're like, there's the date stamp and everything. And from there, it just opened up, I think, more doors to help out with other cases that need it.
It must be hard to know how to spend your time. So we appreciate you doing it with us.
How would you describe it? Like, is it like a spiritual thing? Is it physical, or is it mostly
You see
like a
things, right?
visceral? Do you see it, feel it? Like, what's the apparatus, and like how does it come to you, and are you in control of it? Because when you were talking, I was like, okay, if you didn't want this and you had this, it seems like it's something that was finding you out of your control. And then finally you're embracing it, and then you're getting control of it, kind of thing. Like,
No, that's a great way to explain it.
because if you're resistant to it and didn't want to do it, and it was like, it's calling you for some reason, right?
I was very resistant, like literally until I was 25. I like was very resistant to it. I was just like, I wanted my normal life, the police, like that was my life. And I was pretty resistant. And basically the best way I can explain when it comes, and I guess when I connect, it's like Pictionary. So it's kind of like they put symbols in my head. And then when it gets to the specific messages, it's like screenshots on your phone, and they kind of go really quick. So if I was to see, I'm going to use my name as an example. If I start flashing in my head, that means that I know the person that's coming through is Jonathan. Like, so they try to take parts of my life or things I've seen in movies to make it the specific messages if I've never gone through something. So it's kind of like a Pictionary. And trust me, if you guys need a partner, I'm your guy. If you need a partner for Pictionary, because of like, that's literally how it comes through. But then when the specific messages come, it's like screenshot of stuff. So I'm able to kind of like see it very quickly, and I can't control it.
So you have to read, interpret it, and add language to it.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people too, which is like a little difficult. I think people think it's like a perfect science, and it's really not, because I can misinterpret something. Like, I'm a human. It's like they created their own language on that side, and they're trying to, I guess, teach me it. And I'm still learning every day different things that are coming through, especially with working on these cases. There's some things I've never, one, been through, or two, have seen, like, actually. So it's like really hard to sometimes deliver messages when I don't really know the true meaning or really what's coming through. I just have to explain.
So it's also limited by your scope, I guess.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Have you ever gotten something like wrong or off or incorrect, and then later figured out what the symbol was and go, oh, that's what they were trying to say when you had more information?
Yeah, there's things where I've like misinterpreted, and I like told someone that, and they're like, people are very honest with me. You know, they're like, that makes literally no sense. They won't even smile and be like, okay. They're like, nah, like this makes no sense. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm really hard on myself with that stuff too. So then a lot of the times when I'm sleeping and stuff, like messages come in my dreams and stuff, and then it'll kind of connect, and it'll be like weeks later, a month later. And then I have my mom, who does my appointments, like reach out to them, and they're like, oh my God. They're like, now it makes sense. Mm-hmm. I'm like, thank God. I'm like,
well, also like with the amount of skepticism I imagine you run into, you want to do well by them, because you don't want to be considered a hack, or, you know what I mean? So you want to be, guys, it just, to me, it would be just, I've always said if I ever saw a UFO, I'd never tell anyone. Do you know what I mean? Because fuck that. I don't want to go through that shit of like someone discrediting me and going,
instead we'll just be whistleblowers for a cult. Well,
I can actually prove that. I can prove that. I mean, I can't prove I saw a UFO, and then someone's just going to be doubting me, and I got to deal. I'm the guy who saw a UFO or didn't, and I just be like, nope, what? Didn't see it.
Well, you know, I've only recently just told our audience sort of some of my personal beliefs around, you know, the other side or spirits, and up till recently, I've kind of kept that private, because also, you know, that realm does cross over into a little bit culty stuff, you know, where there's people who claim to have a connection, even whether it's God or Jesus or deceased people or whatever. But there are so many hacks and con men out there. How do you determine somebody who has a skill versus somebody who's a snake oil salesman?
No, that's a good question. So I think, like with your reading, right? Like, I gave you more information than you gave me, right? Mm-hmm. It was kind of like, if someone is basically saying to you, I see an older gentleman or an older woman, it's like 9 times out of 10, we all lost a grandparent. You know what I'm saying? It's like 9 times out of 10, at a certain age, you lost a grandparent. And it's kind of like they're asking you questions and you're responding with an answer to like give a reading. So it's like a woman, that's my grandma. They're like, oh, your grandma's here. And then they kind of feed off of you. So like what I tell people when I do readings is just say yes or no, or don't say anything at all, and just let me do it. And like, give me a fake name, I don't care. Like, just let me do my thing. And that's also kind of why too, I went into the law enforcement realm of this, because it's like some of the stuff you just can't make up. If I'm helping turn a corner in a case that they have not, then it's like, that's proven right there. But I think a good thing is like if you go to a reading, just don't give them information. Like let them tell you and be specific about it. Don't answer a question with a question, kind of, you know?
That
I
makes
remember
sense.
I was 15 or something like that, and we did something like, I can't remember where it was, but the person was like, you know, what you said, an old man. I was like, yeah, my granddad, and he was in the military. And I was like, yeah. And like, you know, and he asked me some questions. I told my dad, and I was like, he's like, well, you're 15. You probably have a granddad that was in World War II, you know, and my dad started picking the things that he would have used for me. And I was like, oh. It wasn't hard. It wasn't hard for my dad to tear it apart. It was like,
Yeah, no, it's true though, because it's like if you think about like even my grandfather was in the military. I have his like flag, I have his medals and stuff. So it's like if someone came up to me like, I see your grandfather in the military, it's like, yeah, like probably yours is too, you know, like it's just that age group that was in the military. So that's why I just tell people, I'm like, just be very cautious with like information that you give. And only give a first name too. Don't give him your last name. Just give him your first name, or give him a fake name. I mean, that's what everyone does to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, just do it to them.
I can't remember if I told you this when I was on your podcast, but I think part of the reason why I've always believed is that my mom had an experience in the 80s with a medium. And it was the same thing. She only gave her first name, right? And this was before the internet. She called, she made an appointment, and she had an experience with this British medium and had a full connection with my grandmother, who you met last Friday, Juliet. And she said things to the medium to my mother, who told me. So this is like obviously very, you know, I wasn't there, but the way that she described it has always just made me believe, well, there's no way this person could know it. Therefore, her spirit or her ghost, whatever you want to call it, is there. And that just gave me comfort and has been a big belief. It's just a part of my belief system. I'm always aware, like I could be proven wrong. So anyway, I guess a lot of it also must depend on how open people are when they come to you. And obviously I was very open. We skipped the interview and went right to the reading.
Yeah. I knew when you came on that you wanted a reading. So I'm like, let's just do it. Like, let's just jump right into it. Like, let's not even do the interview part yet. Let's just do the reading first. Because it used to be the opposite. I would like talk to people and then do the reading. And then after that, they're so checked out because they're just thinking about what was like said. I'm like, I don't think I could do that because people get so checked out when it like, because they're just replaying it. Like last night, I read a cop. The guy came, his son passed, and just walked out. After the reading was done, most of the time people will chat with you a little bit, you know, just saying goodbye, right? You just like you say goodbye, whatever. Got up and left, got in his car and drove home, like 3 hours home.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, did I say something? And then he reached out and was like, I'm so sorry. Like it was just overwhelming.
yeah.
Like the things you knew and stuff. He's like, I needed to process it alone. And he's like, I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, man. Well, it's
bet.
also like, I can imagine people who are so shut down to it and get the exact opposite experience. It's got to be, you might be questioning your world in addition to what you just experienced.
You know, people say that. People say that they question like what life is at this point because they're like, how can you do that? And we're told something different and, you know, this is happening. They're like, this is bizarre. I get that pretty often with like mostly males because my like reading audience, I think a lot of people think that like when people do readings, it's majority females versus males. And my audience, or when I do readings, my clients, I should say, is 50-50 now, like completely 50-50. And I'm like shocked by it. Like I'm very shocked by it that every week I have 2 to 3 males, like military, law enforcement, or
we
just
have these thoughts alone.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, like we suffer alone.
Yeah, we suffer
don't
alone.
share.
We don't do it online or
No,
they're like, listen,
we
here's the
suffer
deal.
alone.
I'm paying you this. You don't tell anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, all the women are like posting about it and blogging and sharing.
He's like, if I see you in public, you keep walking.
Yeah, exactly. Don't even make eye contact. Just keep going.
Well, is there anything else about your life that we need to cover or that it's important for our audience to know, or should we get into the unsolved stuff?
Let's get into the unsolved. I
Okay.
love doing this stuff.
Oh my God, I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
It is exciting.
Hey, Culty listeners. As you probably know, Nippy and I are working on a manuscript for our first book together. And as you probably also know, maintaining control is important to us. That's why we've decided to produce our book with the Self-Publishing Agency, or TSPA. Unlike traditional publishing, where you're often left waiting for months or even years to get your story out, the Self-Publishing Agency lets you take control of your timeline. You'll have complete creative freedom with insights and guidance from pros in the publishing world. So if you're like us and you have a story or a message that's burning to be told, we highly recommend TSPA as your go-to partner. They offer everything you need, from expert editing and eye-catching cover design to marketing and distribution strategies that really make a difference. They make the entire process seamless and inspiring so you can focus on what matters most, telling your story. Go to theselfpublishingagency.com. That's the SELF publishingagency.com to start your very own publishing journey today. Enjoy. This podcast wouldn't even exist without our amazing, supportive, generous patrons. Come find us on Patreon. We are at patreon.com/littlebitculty. Go there for bonus episodes, live Q&As with past guests, exclusive content, and lots of other goodies. Subscribe now and help us keep this podcast going. That's patreon.com/littlebitculty. And now, a brief message from our Little Bit Culty sponsors. And remember, when you support our sponsors, you're supporting this podcast. This episode is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform where creativity meets simplicity. Whether you're an artist, a business owner, or a dreamer with a big idea, Squarespace gives you the tools to create a standout website and share your story with the world. First, let's talk about design intelligence. Squarespace has made it ridiculously easy to build a site that looks like it was crafted by a top-tier designer. Thanks to their AI-powered tools and years of design experience, your website will be as unique as your ideas. For anyone juggling payments, Squarespace has you covered. Squarespace Payments makes managing your sales effortless. It's quick to set up and accepts all the payment methods your customers love, like Apple Pay and Afterpay. Another standout feature is how seamlessly Squarespace connects with your social and multimedia accounts. You can update your Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube content and have it all reflected on your site automatically. Less work for you, more impact for your brand. It's a win-win. Ready to build something great? Head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/culty to save 10% off your first website or domain purchase. That's squarespace.com/culty. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Holidays on the house at DraftKings Casino. With this season's offering, you'll unwrap everything you wish for, from table games to jackpots to a slot at the top of everyone's list. Jingle bells, power reels. DraftKings is offering a warm welcome to new players with $100 instantly in casino credits with just a $10 wager. Plus, everyone can get in on the action with a holiday reward every week. So sign up with code CULTY because the holiday cheer is here, only at DraftKings Casino. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 plus, physically present in Connecticut, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia only. Void in Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. New customer only. Opt-in required. Casino credits are non-withdrawable and expire in 168 hours. Terms at casino.draftkings.com/promos. You've heard from our sponsors. Now let's get back to a Little Bit Culty, shall we? All right. So how do we do this?
Is there like many cases? Like, so is this particular just to where within Nexium, or is this like a broader, like Unsolved?
There's a few people who have passed in Nexium. One's Unsolved. Two people, I just feel like there's things around their death that are suspect, and I never got to talk to them. And
we did get to talk to them.
Well, I mean, talk to them. They died before Nexium ended, so I feel like there's just things that they know that I'd love to know.
That they kept from us.
So are these people, I'm assuming they're not family, correct?
Correct.
So I don't want to go towards your family then, and if these people are not. So,
No.
So I'm just going to look off and I'll tell you who comes through.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a few people that are friends that are not family. So there's a couple I want to talk about.
Okay.
There's two people seem to have passed similarly, it looks like. They're putting ribbons in front of me, and that's typically an indication of cancer-like. But I don't know if it's a B name. So a female's B name, like Barbara. And then she's standing next to someone who has a similar passing with So when they put a P name, I don't know, like, because there's a lot of female P names. So it could be like Paula, Paulette, Pam. I don't really know.
Got them both.
That's there they are.
But you also have someone else that I want to bring in
Okay.
too. You have a couple people. They're all, so which is weird. Well, not weird, I guess, but you have people like those two have a similar passing, which I want to talk to you a lot about because they seem like they have a lot of information pertaining what the cult was, is what they're saying, and how I'll get into them, but there's someone else. There's a woman with a G name with a gun to her head and saying like she needs to explain her
Yes.
passing into detail.
Please. Oh my God, I've got goosebumps.
She's saying to me, and again, like this is going to sound weird, like 1 + 1 should equal 2,
Yeah.
but 1 + 1 equals 7 with her passing. Like things don't really add up is what she's showing to me. So I want to go to the two women that are coming in because you have another one.
Oh my goodness.
What the hell? How many unsolveds do you guys have? And they're all very loud because they all want their story out because it seems like it's been
Yeah,
Yes.
I bet.
it's been like a little, I'm using the term like social media, but like when I say shadow banned and stuff,
Yeah.
it seems like it got to a certain point and then it kind of fell off. It's a C or a K name, like a k sound, like Kirsten, Kristen, Christina.
Jesus Christ.
And
Yeah.
she's saying that there's actually, there's a lot. Who do you want to go? There's a lot to uncover.
There's so much. Can we just start first with Kristen? What happened to her?
Yeah, hers is a very interesting one because what she's saying is the person who did it is in jail. However, the lead up to it is what she wants to talk about because what she's saying to me is, or the person who orchestrated it is in jail.
Yes.
Because what she's saying to me is, and I'm not, you could be LGBTQ. I don't know if I'm saying those
Yeah.
acronyms right. But she's saying like I don't know if she was into other women.
Mhm.
I don't know. Because she's saying that was a huge cause of what had happened, and kind of looks like she was forced upon by someone and was pregnant and didn't want it. Because what she keeps rubbing her stomach and saying that someone forced themselves on her, and she became neurotic. She's saying her head became. I don't want to be mean. Well, it's not mean. She's like something like kind of made her snap a little bit, but she was also saying that like where she lived was a far remote place. So I don't know where she lived, but it seemed to be like a remote type of location. But she keeps saying someone with a K name who's living orchestrated a lot of this, like, and had people. She keeps basically saying, I there's someone with an S name connected to her, with a strong S name. I don't know, but anyway, I don't know if is she a lesbian?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
don't want to out her if she's not.
No, she
out.
No,
is.
she is.
She is. I didn't actually know her, but we knew of her.
Yeah, hers is a very sketchy passing.
Yeah.
Like, really, really sketchy. But the person who orchestrated, she keeps putting bars in front of me, and like literally, she's tapping the bed in front of me, saying, "This person's behind bars." And also, there's a woman who also was orchestrating this, who's also behind bars too. It seems like it's like a duo of people because she's saying it's an A name. Who has an A name?
A name.
Like Allison, Allie, Alexandra.
Oh, Allison Mack, but she's out of jail.
Yeah, she was in jail, but she's not a lot.
She didn't have anything to do with that.
She came around before Kristen was.
There's something where there's a group of people that know a lot
Yeah.
of things that are just not speaking, and
Yeah.
it seems like she could be a huge help if she, I guess, wanted to be a help.
There's another Allison. Anything?
I don't know. She just keeps underlining an A name, saying that help could be that person could be a huge help, is what she keeps saying. But what she's also showing to me too, it's not, I don't know if they claim this as a suicide. Like, I don't know if that's what they claimed it as.
Mhm.
Doesn't really look like that to me. Like the way that she's coming through at all.
Can she say how she died?
It looks like she was like strangled, drowned. It kind of looks like. She's putting water in front of me. So it has to, someone either strangled her, drowned her, did something in the water. I don't know what you could do in the water other than those two things, really. But she's saying that, again, it's things leading up to this didn't make sense too. It's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it because I don't.
Who strangled her? Like, I know that Keith orchestrated it, the one who's in jail for sure. That was his doing, but who did it to her?
I'm just going to use an initials because I don't want people to come after me and stuff. They keep pointing at me. So it's like someone that's connected to a J name.
Maybe Jim?
Yeah, I don't want to say a name. I just don't want people.
Yeah, you don't want to say.
Yeah, I just don't want to have people like. I've learned when I do this stuff not to like when even on my show I don't say names.
Okay.
I have them bleep it out. But it just looks like there's a bigger group that like she's not particularly like showing me who specifically did it. It's just a group that orchestrated things who did it and had it look like she took her own life, but it doesn't look like that at all to me. And if I was to read like someone in her life, like family and stuff, it would be a lot easier for me because then they could put pieces together that are, I think, more intimate. You have two women that are just like seem to be pretty involved in the cult at one point, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Pam and Barb.
So this is weird because they're saying that, and you can correct me if I could be misinterpreting this, like, you know, like we spoke about kind of before, but they keep showing to me about, they're putting ribbons in front of me. And again, they keep doing 1 + 1 = 7. And they keep saying that it's like if someone was poisoned, right? It's kind of like if someone was poisoned. It's like, it's hard to prove that someone was poisoned if they have cancer. It's just like kind of like it makes it a little bit like it adds an additional layer, it seems. And it seems that like that's kind of what they're showing me, that they were poisoned.
I'm feeling sick.
A little bit.
This is what we thought.
They're showing to me, which I don't know if this will resonate a little bit. They keep pulling strands of hair out of their head. And they keep saying that there's like DNA and evidence, right? Like it's pretty easy to tell that there was outside substances is what they're saying, which could lead to a poison, I guess, or being poisoned. But what they're also saying to me and showing to me too, it's like their passings are pretty parallel to each other in a sense, like they seem very similar to me. Like they seem like everything kind of, it looks like lined up to me as far as it being like a little too similar of a passing because you have 4 people in total, but then like out of the 4, they're all, like the 2 are the same and the other 2 are so different. Mm-hmm. Like, so it's like, it's a little interesting, but weird to me that theirs are so similar. So this is what they're showing to me. It seems like they have a lot of information to put. It's like essentially to like what you guys were saying, like whistleblower type of stuff. However, they had a lot of it. Yeah. Like a lot of
they
stuff.
know way more than we do.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of like the orchestrating, recruiting, like there's a whole system that they're saying that that's in place for it. Also, what they're showing to me too is who's the K name that's behind bars?
Keith.
That's Keith.
They're saying that this person with the K name, it's very weird, and like I don't want to point fingers at him in any way.
It's okay.
No, but point.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. This dude's a monster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like this dude's a monster. He has his finger pretty much in every single person here. Like as far as their suspicious passing goes. And the only reason why I'm saying that is they're all lined up parallel and the K name is above and they're all pointing arrows to this person, which means that whether, I'm not saying he did every single one, but his finger was involved pretty much in almost all of them. And it's kind of like when someone starts getting their own voice or tries to be like a little bit more of an independent and someone doesn't like that because the G name is saying that too. Like the independence factor of, I don't know if this G name person was trying to leave, but they all have a similarity of it's kind of like light bulbs going off, being like, this doesn't add up, like this isn't right. And then this K name guy coming in and being a monster. I mean, like off camera, I'll tell you guys a lot of this stuff. I just don't want people, you know, like I try to be careful with this, but they're just showing to me about I think there's more murders than just the 4.
Yeah,
if I'm
we
being honest
think so
with
too.
you.
I think
Yeah.
so too.
Because they're all, I mean, Pam and Barbara, is
Yeah.
that their name? The P and the B name. Sorry for referring to them like that. But
That's okay. That's okay.
they keep putting additional signs next to them, which means there's more than just the 4 that are here.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Well, I won't say a lot more, but a decent amount more.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he could be considered a serial killer at this point because the amount of passings that have happened, just you become a serial killer. But yeah, there's like a lot of things that pertaining to the cult that they're showing to me about babies. They're showing to me stuff about that, how it's like you shouldn't have sex, but then you do have sex and someone's pregnant and then the baby's gone and people are missing. Because what they're showing to me is like if there's a group of 5 one day, then the next day there's a group of 4, but no one speaks about the 5th person that went missing. It's just kind of like that's what happened. And they're saying that things are going to start to uncover. Like by uncovering, it seems like people, and I'm assuming because of your show and you guys doing this, people are going to start putting pieces together to, uncover not just these 4 women that are here, because the woman with is her name Kristen or
Yeah.
Christina?
Kristen. Yeah.
Her wife or partner? She's proud of her for speaking up because it seems like she was very quiet for a long time. And it seems like, I don't know if it's very recent or just in the last like 10 years or so or less than that. It's like speaking up kind of, or just saying like her side of like a piece or something rather than being quiet. But there is a sense of fear that I can see with each and every one of them, which means if someone is fearful for their death, and not fearful for their death in the sense of like if you're sick and you're scared and you're fearful like that, this is like fear of your life, of like someone else like if they're pointing their fingers at someone else when I do these cases, that means someone else had to do with their death. Like, and if they point at themselves, that means they took their own lives. That means they're taking acknowledgement. The 2 women are putting ribbons, but then pointing at someone else and saying that they were poisoned. So that means that someone did something to them. Like they poisoned them and expedited a passing or did something.
Do they
there's
know,
a lot.
Do they know how they were poisoned?
So this is interesting. They're pouring pills in front of me. I'm not saying that they were like snorting pills. That has nothing to do with it. But if you're like trying to take medicine or herbal stuff or whatever to try and help you and someone is tampering with things, like that's poisoning someone. Like they're just tampering because they keep saying to me they had all this trust in people, like certain people. They had like undyingly like loyalty to people, but now they don't have that. Like I always say this when I read people, like hindsight's 2020, and they can now see that they can see the full picture. Like they seem like someone was tampering with whether it was like herbal or pills or something, or medicine just in general, or food. I don't know, but it's just someone was tampering with their stuff who they thought was actually helping them.
This has been our suspicion all along, and I mean,
oh really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but wait, there's no way to prove it, and then they died.
Yeah, and even me, who's like, I guess like a medium, like it's even harder to prove because the person who's alive behind bars doesn't look like he's saying anything at all. Like he's just there, it kind of seems. And that's why they're all thanking you guys. Like collectively, they're all thanking you in different ways. It's just really shining light on obviously them and like what's going on, but it's really helping other people in different, like when I say cults, like it's like different situations that are maybe like a cult potentially, that like people are recruiting and you have to do this and that, whatever, because they're saying that this happens a lot more than people think. That like, and what they're saying too is, and I don't know if you guys ran into this because this is what the 2 women are sharing with me. It's like police go only so far with this unless you push and push and push in these situations. So it's kind of like, and I think police are amazing. So I want to start by saying, and I know there's good cops, bad cops, good lawyers, bad lawyers, and things like that. But they're just saying to me, like, there becomes like a certain, and I'm sure you guys know, like when it comes to reservations, like police don't go there. Like they kind of let the, whatever. That's kind of what they're showing to me. Like they went to a point where they let it being like self-governed a little bit. And then they tried to intervene and they only got so far because no one is speaking. It's kind of like you're going up against people that are protecting this guy still. Like, it's really weird because they're all saying to me, it's like, why are they still protecting a monster? Is what they keep showing to me. They keep putting, and this is going to sound weird, but it's just, they're putting the K name with like devil horns on it for me. It doesn't mean he's like, literally a devil, but they're showing me he's like an evil person.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
a very evil person. But they're saying that people are still protecting this evil person. And that's why they're so thankful for you guys for trying to, I guess, essentially like expose what is going on in a more heartfelt type of way, it seems, because they're saying you do a lot with compassion. And that's what the two women are saying. And they wish, because this is what they're also showing to me too, that they had the courage and the voice that you two have to do this. Because it seems like I'm going to be honest, it seems like those two women were pretty brainwashed, honestly. And they're saying that to me. They're like showing to me like hindsight's 2020. They were like a little brainwashed. So, but those are the four that are really coming through strong. And yeah.
For more background on what brought us here, check out Sarah's page-turning memoir. It's called Scarred, the true story of how I escaped Nexium, the cult that bound my life. It's available on Amazon, Audible, and at most bookstores. Highly recommend, of course, because she's my wife. And now, a brief message from our Little Bit Culty sponsors. Remember, when you support our sponsors, you support our podcast.
You know that feeling when you're at Ross and you find the best gifts for way less? Like brand name sweaters, the coolest kids' toys, and plush dog beds? Get that feeling with every gift and save 20 to 60% off other retailers' prices. At Ross, yes, for less.
We have one more act for you this evening. I don't even need to say his name. Mr. Bob Dylan.
A Complete Unknown is now a Golden Globe and Critics' Choice nominee for Best Picture.
Bobby, what do you want to be?
Whatever it is they don't want me to be.
Timothée Chalamet astonishes as Bob Dylan in one of the best performances of the year.
Through the bumps of dime in your prime.
And critics rave Edward Norton is absolutely fantastic.
70,000 people are here, and Bobby is the reason for it.
This Christmas.
They just want me singing Blowing in the Wind for the rest of my life.
Don't miss the movie critics are hailing 5 stars.
To be on your own.
It's pure cinematic magic.
Turn it down!
Play loud.
And named to AFI and the National Board of Review's top 10 films of the year.
Make some noise, BD. Track some mud on the carpet.
Like a complete unknown.
A Complete Unknown. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Rated R. Under 17 and admitted without parent.
Break time's over, people. Let's get back to this episode of A Little Bit Culty. It's a good one.
Can I ask Barb a question?
Yeah.
Did she wake up? Did she have the light bulb moment too and try to leave? Was she trying to leave?
One of the two did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's why I'm saying, and I have to be honest, I think they both were kind of like that. One was more so than the other. They both were kind of at that point where it was like a eureka type of moment, or like a, light bulb, boom, it just goes off. One was way more than the other, but they both were kind of at that point of like getting there. The other two women had that eureka moment, like in a huge way, and they made it public too. They didn't like public meaning like I don't know if there was social media back then and stuff, but they definitely weren't quiet about it. The woman with the G name, she keeps saying to me, and again, I don't want to be graphic or anything, but she's putting a gun and tapping her body in her head with it, or so I don't know if it had something to do with it, like that. But what she's saying is that the way that and I only know this because I work on cases that are similar to this, the way that the gun was, or the type of caliber or something, doesn't add up for a woman or even a man to place it, hold it, and shoot it. Like, it just, things don't add up like that is what they're saying. So that's what she's just showing to me about that like her passing doesn't add up like that.
Can you ask her who did pull it, the trigger?
They all keep going back to the same thing. That they're all just basically going to me that he had his finger in it. I don't know if he actually pulled the trigger. But what she's saying to me, there was a group. I'm just going to tell you what there's a group of 3 that seems to be like that. And I'm using this as like, I'm not trying to use this as like a Hollywood term, but it's like a hitman or like a hit person that their sole job is, yes, they are in this cult, but they're like the go-to person to do horrible things for people. They're like go-to people, and that's what it seems. Because it also seems like it was a male that did it. Like all this seems like male-driven to some extent. And the Barbara and the Pam keep saying to me, when they're clapping their hands, they're saying it's like things are getting exposed and they're happy for it.
Okay.
So there's people that are still living that seem to know, if I'm being honest with you, a lot of them.
Can you ask them who's still alive that knows the most, or that we should, not that they'll necessarily talk to us, but is there, who knows? Who's alive and knows? Who's got the information?
It's hard to tell, but like the A, like I don't know about the A name or something, because they like it keeps going back to that.
Hey.
Or it's like Alex or Alexa or something. I it's hard to tell just because they're talking about themselves more than anything and about their situation. But who's another K name? Like another Kristen.
Yeah. There's another
That
Kristen.
person has a shit ton of like a
Yes.
Oh,
shit
Yes.
ton of information.
Yeah.
Barbara just said it.
Yeah.
She said Kristen or Kathy
Yeah.
or whoever.
Actually, Kristen and
They-
Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they said, if you get to them, you can peel onion layers back with things. But like someone's in hiding. Like someone's in like hiding, and someone also has a kid from someone too. It's like a really weird, I mean, they're all laughing. It's like all incest is what they're saying, like kind of. Like not literally,
Yeah.
I don't know. But it seems like it's all like incest type of behavior, but it's like a K name.
It's another
Like
Kristen.
a Kristen, Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're saying if you can find and get to this person, I mean, fucking sorry for cursing,
It's
but
okay.
they're saying that like
She knows.
sky's the limit, honestly. Like this Kristen person has so much, and is Kathy, I guess, but Kristen has a lot. And someone's in hiding, whether she's in hiding, and they're holding information back. Like they're not speaking at all. It's not that they're scared, they're just not speaking, and they're still protecting. That's what I kind of see with it.
She's protecting Keith or protecting
No,
herself?
her son.
Yeah, it's like a son and like everyone that's, because I think if she says something, then she's going to get probably, it just opens up doors and stuff. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing.
She may even be accused of being an accomplice to some of these things.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Either accomplice or she was like, it's kind of like in the room when things were discussed, right? And that means you're an accomplice still, whether you drew something out or you didn't report anything, that means you're an accomplice. And she definitely knew, she knows a lot. She knows a lot, or a majority, it seems. But oh my God, I am like drenched from this stuff. Holy crap.
Can I ask
I
you?
want to know about Jim.
Can we ask you about one more person that's
Sure.
should be there? He might not want to talk to us, but it's Jim.
Was he also involved in this?
Mm-hmm.
But is there another James though too that has nothing to do with this?
I mean, his real name's James.
No, but like another person, like a family member of one of you guys.
James. Do you have a James?
It doesn't matter. But
Yeah, there's. I mean, my deep end.
oh no, there's a JA name in someone's family, similar to like a James.
not Jack, who was here last week. Different person.
That's who it is.
Yeah.
It's Jack. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I was like, wait a minute. This person seems so familiar that this person cannot be involved in this. That's why I was like, he's too nice of a person. I'm like, and not that people aren't nice in here. He's just so separate. Okay. That makes more sense.
Jack's back. Hi, Papa.
Were you guys friends with this guy, Jim?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's apologizing to you guys about he's apologizing for what it, and I'm not saying this is literally what he did. It's just what he's showing to me in my head. It's not turning his back on you, but it appears like that, right? It's kind of like if you needed an extra person, it's like he turned his back on you, and he's very sorry for that. And he's saying, again, I use this term, but hindsight's 2020. And he's saying he hopes you guys can forgive him because he's saying that he shouldn't have turned his back, or what it appeared like he turned his back. But that's essentially what he he's like coming through. Like that's pretty much like the gist of it with him, because he's saying he needs to apologize. Like that's his main message. It's just an apology. Like, and he's laughing with a very loud laugh, I will tell you.
I'm so happy to hear that. And please, Jim, we absolutely forgive you. We always knew you were a good guy. You were a good soldier.
Yeah, he is a good person. He's just showing to me, and again, he's pointing at them. It's like brainwashed,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know,
We all were.
like, yeah, and he's saying that it hurts him that he feels like he turned his back on you. Like it hurts him because he knows how much it disappointed you guys. And so I just wanted to let you guys know. He's a good dude.
Yeah.
Really good dude.
Yeah, he is.
Just brainwashed, unfortunately, a little bit. I mean, he's laughing about it. So it's like, if like he's saying, you know, like what I always say, hindsight's 20/20. So like, you know, my gosh.
That's a closure that I think we both needed.
It's fucking crazy.
Good.
You know, and in Barb and Pam too, if they're still there. I mean, especially Barb, I feel it's easier for me to forgive because I understand the brainwashing and how it works now.
It was hard to watch both of them die.
It just seems like they were poisoned.
Yeah.
Were they, this is just what they're showing me because they're putting rats in front of me. Was it a rat poisoning, do you guys think? Or something? They're putting rats in front of my feet like in Manhattan and stuff. It seems like it was like something similar to if it was that or similar to a rat poisoning.
It was.
Where just shuts down the human body.
Yeah, there was an investigation done because he tried to kill someone else that is still alive today, and she had a hair sample from the time where they all lived together. And they tested the hair sample, and it had boron and bismuth in it, which is
Is that rat poisoning?
Rat poisoning.
Oh my God.
And this person had cancer, but it didn't kill her because I don't think she had enough.
And both Pam and Barb died of very aggressive cancers, and they were
rare cancers, like renal cancer and like
brain cancer, and they were otherwise completely healthy up until then.
My God. See, like this is why I want to, like I always am trying to tell people, like with these unsolved cases, send them to me and I will try my best to help you. I want to try and help people like with this stuff. And yes, I want to help people with like the normal readings too, but of course I do. But like this is what I want. Like this is.
How do we prove it now that he's in jail and they're dead? Like, how do you go back and prove that? Like, where's the proof?
The woman who's Kathy?
Kristen Keefe.
She knows.
Yeah.
Oh, she's like the golden ticket for whatever you guys need. Yeah, I mean they're all showing me. I know it's again really stupid, so people that are listening don't judge me. But Willy Wonka, the golden ticket, whatever, that's what they're showing to me in my head. It's like the golden ticket, like
she's got.
That's the golden ticket. She's in hiding, but it's the golden ticket is what they're showing to me.
Do they know how Keith is doing in jail, and is Keith still trying to harm people from jail?
So it's an interesting question. He's, I guess, doing as well as you can do in jail, I guess, but he definitely is trying to orchestrate. I don't know if he's trying to hurt people or silence people. It's like one of the two, right? Like, but he's definitely trying to do something, like, because it seems like he's, from what they're showing to me, he's like he still feels very full of himself, is what I will say, and still feels like he has power. And that's the problem that I see. So I'm going to assume that he is still trying to do things to people. If they're all showing to me like his chest is still out and he still feels like he has a big chest, which means he still feels like he has power to do something. So.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to be the most ethical, noble man in the world and
did horrible things.
Things. He definitely was a monster.
Yeah.
I wonder if he poisoned other people too.
Sure he did.
Yeah, he probably, I mean, just assuming from what they're showing to me, he definitely did a lot of different things for sure. And it's just unfortunate that this woman is not speaking up.
It
really is unfortunate.
Yeah. And I don't think she likes us very much. But do they know if there's other women who died of cancer around him? I always thought it was something in the water until the poisoning theory came around. But there were other women who did get cancer and survived. Did he poison them too?
Yeah, everything was controlled by, everything was like controlled by him from what they're showing to me. So like the water, the food, that everything seemed to have been through him or through people that were working for him. So it doesn't look like, and I'm not saying people couldn't go out to like a supermarket and get a Poland Spring water or like whatever, but it seems like things were very heavily controlled and processed through them if something was to happen.
Suzanne Kemp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I'm assuming that he poisoned more than one person. If they're showing to me like everything was passed through him and people.
Can you ask if Suzanne was one of those victims?
I mean, I think that was the S name that was coming through before. Looks like a little, kind of looks like it. I don't know. Like it's like, again, I don't want to like lie and be like, I see this.
Yeah.
Like for
that
sure.
one happened earlier too, and I don't know that.
It could have just been actual cancer. You know, we don't.
Yeah, like I don't want to lie and be like, that's it. But it looks, it's not as like concrete as the other ones for sure. I can definitely tell you that. That's why I'm like, I don't want to sit here and lie to you and be like, yep, I see it. It's kind of like, it's not as concrete as like Barbara and.
No, that's how that one felt too. Yeah.
Do they have any information on Sally?
Oh shit, that's right, Sally.
Like as far as like a passing goes or something?
Yeah.
Was she also poisoned, do you think?
Possibly.
We don't know.
Because I mean she's putting ribbon like this similarity to the Barbara and the Paula, which that's why I'm assuming if she was somewhat like altered, like things were altered with.
She had cancer, but we just don't know if it was cancer or poisoned.
No, it looks like things were altered with. She's pointing, like I said, to the Barbara and the P name, and she's saying it's like there's similarities is what she's showing to, which I'm going to take that as, she was probably, things were altered with for her, for sure. I think she was sick, and I think they altered things on top of it.
Yeah, they did do that.
Oh my goodness. Well,
yeah, it's crazy.
That's
like I'm a little like, holy shit. I'm not gonna lie.
Some heavy stuff. I'm sorry to bring that into your world, and
no, it's all good. It's all good.
It does feel good to have.
How do you regulate when it can't be?
I'm gonna go for a run after this again.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go clear my head or probably go surfing or something just to get out there. And because every time I do this stuff, like I don't want to lift my arms up, but I'm drenched in sweat, but two, it's just a lot. So I need to like feel the sun or the water, like not in a spiritual way, just to get outside, really, just to clear my head, and just then I'm back to it with another case after. So it's like, it's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
That was amazing. You have such a gift, and it feels really good to have closure with Jim. And just so you know, Kristen Snyder, as far as we know, was committed suicide. She apparently she was gay, but was pregnant and had a mental break. And there was a suicide note, but people who knew her said that wasn't her writing. And it's an unsolved case. And that was in Anchorage, Alaska.
Oh, so it is in a remote. Holy crap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not that Alaska is remote, but it kind of is.
It is. And she went on a kayak. She went on a kayak trip, and her body and I believe her kayak were never found either. Like neither the kayak or the body were found, but the note, she left a suicide note.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So drowning is what
that's bizarre.
Yeah, that case has never been solved.
Is it because that they feel like it's a suicide, so they just ruled it as a suicide, so they're not like investigating it?
A little bit of both, as I understand. I don't really know.
It was a long time ago. Like we had heard about it when we joined, and then we were told that was a hoax and that she was actually alive and well. And then
holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that she was just another woman scorned. Any controversy was just like, oh, it's a woman scorned. You know, they loved Keith, and
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that's her. And Gina, I had actually completely forgot about Gina because that was also before we were involved. Now, I have to go back and look because it's been a long time, but also apparently died by suicide with a gun.
A shotgun.
A shotgun. That's Gina.
Oh, I guess that's why she was saying. I mean, I don't know how big she was, but I feel like even for a guy to shoot a shotgun, that would be very difficult to, like, without the recoil, like shooting up or something.
Yeah, like just physically, it would have been hard to, you wouldn't have been able to hold it the way that it
Yeah,
killed
even
her.
me too. I wouldn't be able to do it, like to put like the arm out, and that would be really, that's bizarre. Wow.
So that was Gina. And then, Barb and Pam both died of very aggressive cancers and very close to each other. And just before we left, just before things fell apart. And they were very...
Fucking Keith, man. Jesus.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm really appreciative of your gifts, and I hope that it's okay for you and that the rest of your day can be lighter. And
Thank you.
Keith is a pretty...
Well, he's where he belongs.
He's where he belongs. And I guess Nippy and I have to decide whether or not we're going to try to contact Kristen and solve this together. Do you like what you hear on A Little Bit Culty? Then please do give us a rating, a review, and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Or even better, share this episode with someone who you think needs to hear it. Maybe they're in a cult. Maybe they're a little bit susceptible. Just share the love. Thanks. Holy shit. I still have goosebumps from that conversation.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say after that. That was pretty crazy.
What was the thing that stuck out to you the most?
Jim.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the stuff he said after that we can't share, but that was pretty much the one that was like...
Yeah, we did talk to Jonathan for about 30 minutes afterwards. He did say something that I think we can share, which is that he said that Keith was really mad when we left.
Yeah, and he basically got pretty quickly that he's a dangerous person. I'm all pissed off about it again. I kind of want to go find Keith in jail.
Maybe we should.
No, I'm staying out of that.
Well, clearly there's a lot more to solve here. And if you want to hear more about Jonathan's work, check out his podcast, Connect with Jonathan Mark, on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean. I'm hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
A Little Bit Culty is a Trace 120 production, executive produced by Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Nippy Ames, in collaboration with Amphibian Media. Our co-creator is Jess Tardy. Audio engineering by Red Cayman Studios, and our writing and research is done by Emma Deal and Kristen Reeder. Our theme song, Cultivated, is by the artists John Bryant and Nigel Aslin.
Hi, I'm Devin Whitmire. People from South Carolina, like myself, are proud of their state, but even we don't know every nook and cranny or every piece of culture or history. To explore places that are off the beaten path, you have to talk to the people there, because their stories, their ideas make everything come together. From Discover South Carolina, it's the Palmetto Porch. To learn more, visit scpalmettoporch.com.
The most wonderful time of the year. Although, let's be honest, around the holidays, things really add up. But here's the good news. Only at Verizon, you can get a single line for $50 per month when you switch and bring your phone. So while ice skating for two is definitely costing more, here at Verizon, you can save. Gifts for your third cousins? Steep. A single line with Verizon? Not so steep. A real tree? Pricey. A single line with Verizon? Less pricey. Flights to see Meemaw and Pops? Those are up. A $50 per month single line? That's down. Even a trip to the Atlanta Holiday Market will cost you more. But with Verizon, you can switch and bring your phone for just $50 per month for a single line on unlimited welcome, with autopay plus taxes and fees. All this to say, during the holiday season, when everything is costing more, you can get more for less right now at a local Verizon store. $15 monthly promo credits applied over 36 months with a new line on unlimited welcome. In times of congestion, unlimited 5G, 4G LTE may be temporarily slower than other traffic. Domestic data roaming at 2G speeds. Additional terms apply.
In the dry states of the Southwest, there's a group that's been denied a basic human right.
In the Navajo Nation today, a third of our households don't have running water.
But that's not something they chose for themselves. Can the Navajo people reclaim their right to water and contend with the government's legacy of control and neglect?
Our water, our future, our water, our future.
That's in the next season of Reclaimed, the lifeblood of Navajo Nation. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.